Hi, it's Paul Killion here at Iconic Guitars. Here we are with X Gear. We're here with Kevin Proctor at Iconic Custom Guitars in Southern California. Kevin's getting ready for the NAMM show coming up. He's got some guitars here we're going to talk about, maybe talk a little bit about the show. So what is this we have here?
This will be one of our new offerings. One is already gone, but we did two of them. We've been wanting to do a 24 fret model for a while with, a little bit of an extended reach, more designed for, an aggressive modern style player. Real nice flat compound radius, 10 to 14, and then a nice thin style neck. This one's almost done. I actually painted this one a little while back, but I just haven't had the time to get to finishing it, and I had a little bit of time this morning. Got the frets all done and everything.
That's awesome. I love the back, I love the color. What's this going on here?
So rather than having a neck plate, we've got these ferrules in there, and in all of our Evolution series guitars, we use brass inserts in the neck. So you can literally just, really tighten the neck down. But yeah, so this is just an alternative way to mount it, and it kind of works with the rounded off portion for the extended access into the neck joint there.
Come all the way up here. You got the extra 24 frets?
Yes, sir.
24 frets. And as I can tell already, the back feels great.
Yes. Another oil finish. We primarily do oil finish on all of our Evolution models. So this is the Evolution 24 fret that we'll be introducing at NAMM.
These are interesting. What kind of locking nuts? These are locking nuts?
Yeah, they're locking tuners. We use these quite a bit as well. They're hip shot, open back locking tuners, so they kind of got a little bit of an industrial feel with the exposed gear to them. And
I like that.
Then they lock really well, and they function really well.
That's pretty cool.
They've got a really nice ratio, real nice feel when you tune with them.
That's nice.
Goto 510. This one's recessed, so you should be able to get some really aggressive, dive bombing as well as pullbacks on this one as well.
Doing these other ones too, yeah. And what about these guys here? We're going to demo some of these in a minute, but
so this is part of our vintage series. This is a 62S, pretty much bone stock, how you would get it. This particular client ordered extra beat up, so we stayed in contact throughout the relic process, and we got it to a point where he's happy with it. This is, like I say, pretty much bone stock 62S, featuring Lawler pickups, Callahan bridge, Goto tuners, Emerson pots, our bone nut also as well as compound radius. So in the vintage series, we do two different compound radius. We do a 7 1/4 to 9 1/2 as you get up, and we also do a 9 1/2 to 12. And for somebody who kind of grew up, maybe a younger guy than say you or I, if you got a Strat in the 90s, you got a 9 1/2. So you're kind of used to that flatter radius fretboard. So we went with the 9 1/2 to 12, which really gives a lot of clearance in the upper region for getting some super deep bends and still being able to have some pretty low action as well.
Low action.
Yeah. Our typical fret in this is 047 by 104 Jescar nickel fret. We've got several other different fret options that we usually talk about during a build, but this would be pretty much bone stock. No options other than the extra heavy relic.
Okay. And this one, I love the checking on this one. We kind of mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, so this is a lightly optioned, if you will, 57S ash body. We can do alder or ash, it really makes no difference. And then this client wanted a roasted maple neck. This particular one is our yeah, so we call it the full C, and jumbo stainless frets in 9.5 to 12 compound radius that we spoke about. That's the other compound that we do on our vintage series.
And this is more of this is the vintage neck. I can see the there's more of an arc on this neck.
Yeah. So even though it's still pretty flat up here. It's 9.5. It's a pretty modern style front, but with this full C in the back, it kind of it's got a bit of a girth to it.
Nice, very nice.
So this is our Evolution series, and in these we do a 10 to 14 compound radius. And kind of that medium jumbo fret as standard, but we've been doing a lot, and I know a lot of other builders have as well, been doing jumbo stainless frets. It seems to be a much more popular option these days than it was, say, maybe 5, even 10 years ago. But with the Evolution series, we've added, the 22 fret models, and then we put the wheel heel truss rod adjustment here, which is, every guitar tech or everybody who works on a guitar's dream. You don't have to monkey around under here or, like a vintage guitar, pull the neck out and do the truss rod adjustment there. So with this one, this kind of highlights one of our sparkle finishes that we've become known for. I kind of cut my teeth in doing this stuff, as far as finish work in the custom motorcycle world. So, I like to kind of bring a little bit of those crazy paint jobs over, so you never know what you're going to see next.
It's great. It's beautiful.
But yeah, pretty much no frills on this guitar. Double humbucker, Lawler Imperial high winds, volume, and a pickup selector. With the Floyd Rose and some Godot tuners. We've got another one. This one just is it's next in line for its setup. It got its initial setup and it's ready to go back in. Another one of the Evolution JM models. We introduced these last year at NAMM, and they've done pretty well for us. It's that classic JM Jazzmaster style shape, but then we kind of do some stuff that guys don't normally do with Jazzmasters, like throw humbuckers and Floyd Roses and stuff in them. This one's got this polarized paint job with the vintage copper patinaed kind of Floyd and Schaller tuners and stuff. So it's kind of a cool guitar. Nice. Then kind of a close cousin to the in the vintage series is the 62 HR. So one of the things that I've done with my own older Strat is I'm not a huge fan of the single coil in the bridge. I just I much prefer in a Strat. I prefer the neck middle combo. Rarely ever go back here. And when I'd want to get some heavier tones, I'd always reach for a humbucker guitar. And much like everybody, that did this, you went in and routed the guitar and robbed a humbucker. So mine, I've got an old T-top humbucker in my old Strat. So I wanted to kind of recreate that, and then we throw it where you can split it and stuff in there. But so this is our HR. It's a hot rodded style guitar. Same thing, same options on these as far as the 2 different compound radius, and then 3 different neck profiles. We do the thin C, the medium C, and the full C. And I would say that in this series we probably do a majority of the medium. Guys that are looking for a vintagey style guitar, that like this neck right here.
That's the neck.
Yeah, the guys just gravitate to that one, and really it's really been a good profile for us as far as overall sales.
That's nice.
So we kept getting asked to do, a vintage-looking guitar with more modern features.
What I'm into.
So then,
want to have it all.
And this does. Even our vintage series, it does overcome some of the limitations of, the true vintage, 7 1/4 style guitars. So we started with the vintage modern, and we do this with a 6-point or a 2-point tremolo. It's pretty much dealer's choice at that point. Guys have their preferences on either of those, and I like them both. Like I said, we use the Callahan quite a bit. We use the Godot VSVG, which is the Wilkinson style 6-hole tremolo, and then on these we use the Godot 510. On this particular one, a set of Lawler Dirty Blondes, and a thinner profile than what you'll find on the vintage series guitars. And then this particular one has a 16-inch flat radius. So this is very much like, say, an Ibanez style, fretboard, where it's very flat from the nut all the way up, and jumbo stainless frets. So from the player's perspective, this is a modern feeling guitar.
Yeah, that's probably
you know, aesthetically, you look at it and go, oh, that looks like some old Strat, you know?
Yeah.
And this one actually was slated to be a light relic, and as we were putting it together, I was talking to the client, and I'm like, I just can't stomach beating this guitar up right now. I said, I'm going to let you do it. And he said, no, that's cool. So, so it's got a very, very light, what I'd call new old stock kind of, you know, no bumps or bruises in the paint yet. And it's for a touring musician, so I'm sure, you know, after several weeks, it'll have its own war stories to tell.
It's hard to take a guitar when it looks that nice and then start checking it up and
right. Well, you know what, and that's one of the things about our relic process is we pretty much start from scratch just like you would with grain filler and sealer and sanding.
Guitar up.
We build it all the way up
several times,
and then we deconstruct it
down.
Yeah, so it's you know, that's one of the things why guys go, why are your relic guitars more? I go, because there's probably 8 to 12 hours more labor.
Yeah.
Just in the
relic
process
coats of paint, and actually you expect those coats of paint to be seen now.
Right.
Because you're going to see levels of that through the relic.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah, so it's actually harder to do a relic.
Yeah, and like you can even see where this one, you can see, oh, well, you know, here's where the original sealer where the you know, the actual opaque black went over, and you know, then it's worn through into the raw wood.
I love this one because you can actually feel it going in. Because I have a guitar that was all wood, and it created a gully right here from playing. And that's what this is kind of like too.
Yeah. See, you know, this of course is textured. You're not getting that with a smooth object or anything. You know.
My hand, but it's a pick. It's a pick.
Yeah, pick, rings, you know.
I have a guitar literally that has a little pivot hole right there.
Right.
You can, you know, from years of playing on that thing when it didn't have the stuff on it.
Yeah, so we've got right now. I mean, we don't have. Oh, we do have one more vintage modern, which I forgot this was sitting behind me.
Oh.
So this is our vintage modern T with a Schroeder half bridge on it. Pretty killer set of third power clear telly pickups in it. This is actually a touring artist guitar as well. Real nice. I don't know if you can catch that in the light. Real pretty flame maple neck.
Yeah.
With the rosewood board. Kind of a no nonsense telly 3-way, you know, volume tone. So essentially, you know, just a telly. You know, but you here again with the vintage modern, you've got the 10 to 14 compound radius and 1 and 11/16 nut with you know, bone nut in here. So you kind of get some of that stuff from here again from this player's perspective that you're used to feeling on a more modern guitar. Right. But then aesthetically, you know,
it looks like classic.
Yeah, you've got that look that
that
everyone likes. You know, like a old broken in pair of Levi's or something.
Yeah,
you know? You know, nobody wants to go and buy the starch denim ones like you got when we were kids. You know, tone for the neck in the middle pickup and the lower tone runs for the bridge. You need to cut a little bit of that harshness off of there, so you got that option. And then it's a real nice when you're in that 2 position and you need to kind of mix those neck and middle, or I'm sorry, the bridge and middle together. And a Godot 510 bridge, so you know it's meant to look like a vintage guitar, you know, aesthetically, but play like a freaking hot rod, you know. Things that I really like about the Emerson fonts is they're very usable. From 1 is actually a usable number. You know, if you're looking on a Strat knob or something, or a Les Paul knob, it's a very usable number, and you know, so you can kind of gauge where you're at. You know, if you're using your volume knob to clean up a little bit, you can really have a nice gauge, and visually you can say, okay, you know, in this part of the song, I'm going to back it down to 4 or whatever. Yep.
And a bar. What about this one here?
So this is part of our vintage series. This is a 62S, kind of modeled after, you know, like a pretty bitchin' 62 Strat. This one we've done for an artist who requested that we, you know, take the relic pretty far.
Yeah,
farther than we normally do. You know, but I kind of sent him some progress pictures. I'm like, whoop its ass more. And it's like, yeah, more.
Oh yeah, that's great. This feels great. This is natural stuff too. Like naturally beat up. Let's see what this sounds like.
Totally different neck profile. Like I said, we had the 16-inch, flatter radius here. And then this is a more vintage.
Feels very vintage, yes.
Yeah, it's a 7 1/4, starting out, and then flattens out to 9 1/2 as it goes up. So kind of overcomes some of the limitations of that rounder neck. Here's another. This one's kind of a special monster, if it will. It's with the, I guess you'd say, proliferation of. I might want to check the tuning. It's been just set up the other day. But the roasted maple has really.
That's cool. Checking looks nice.
Thank you. Ash body, but the roasted maple has really come into its own. Over the last several years. In the guitar building industry, and
this is a little heavier than the other ones, huh?
They're all. I mean, we have a pretty narrow band of weight that we use. It's like literally 1/4 pound difference between the bodies.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's kind of the specification for where we like to have them. Fattest neck that we do.
Yeah, I like this neck. I was just going to say this.
And jumbo stainless frets on here at the request of the guy who it's for.
Yeah,
and then this one's 9 1/2 to 12. So in the vintage series guitars, we do a 7 1/4 to 9 1/2 for guys that kind of like that vintagey 5, but still want to play some deep blues or whatever, get some nice bends in there. And then this kind of bridges that gap between modern, like say like our Evolution models are 10 to 14. It's kind of like that, but not quite as flat. The 9 1/2 to 12, and then like I said, this is the biggest neck that we do. As far as girth.
Yeah.
I said the thing about these guitars is, as we get older, they get more valuable. Hey everyone, welcome to Iconic Guitars. We're up here in the tone, what we call the tone lounge. We've got our little refrigerator. We've got some recording stuff. We keep our guitars, amps, and stuff up in here. So this is where we're at. We've got a few of our completed builds in here, and now we'll go see where the rest of the stuff happens.